All right, it's Friday now. I decided to come up with some local plans because, I'm a little salty that my local trading hasn't been working out this week. I decided to, really sit down at the charts, lock in, and try and come up with some decent plans here. I got the time now. I'm going to be running through my ideas, some of my levels, some of my trading plans, and then I'm going to be making updates as the day or the weekend progresses, whichever one it is. I don't know yet. Basically, I'll start with our environment. So I think I have a better understanding of our environment. This past week was basically spent building up liquidity to the downside. We have since come down to take some of that, but we have left some of that on the table still, and you can see I have my White Phoenix money sign trend lines, and I know I'm copying White Phoenix here, but he's just such a cool guy. And what do you do when you want to be cool like someone else? You copy them. So here I've got my White Phoenix money sign trend lines that are used to illustrate liquidity, and we have already grabbed the liquidity from all of these lows over here. Actually, I'm wrong. We didn't take out that low yet. I thought we did. So we have grabbed all of this liquidity thus far, and we still have some more liquidity below. So I can mark that out with a green trend line. And another thing I noticed is that we have been building up some liquidity to the upside as well. You can even include this high over here because we did not take that out. So those are some things to keep in mind, and we'll come back to the liquidity a little later. Another thing I noticed as I was going through Coinalyze, if you go over to Binance, you don't really see it as much on Bybit, but on Binance, we can see that there was some liquidity being built up on this move to the upside as well. So, I can go ahead and put a green White Phoenix trend line right here as well. And if we go back to that, most of the longs coming in happened back over here. So, this move to the upside was kind of just stopping out trades, looks like stopping out shorts. And then we started to see some longs open up in this area, as shown by the CVD and the open interest both increasing. And so I'd be willing to bet that a majority of this liquidity is sitting below this low. And one reason for that is because it is an internal market structure point. Taking market structure from this low, we had a higher high, higher low, and then a higher high. So this would be a logical spot to put a stop loss if you longed in this area. And since we have all of this liquidity sitting all over the place and, just giving the environment that we're in, I'm basing most of my trade ideas off of liquidity grabs here. And I'd say this level is a liquidity level that makes sense, especially if we SFP it, which is what this idea is here, because that could maintain this local uptrend if we just SFP it. Right below it, I have some demand marked out. Now, we already hit all of the order blocks that we formed over in this area, but we did not hit all of the wick demand. And I did not mark out this 30 because we already hit that. We also already hit the 15-minute wick demand. I instead went with the 5-minute, which, as you can see, I was taking this wick down to this low. And that's pretty much my box of demand. I'm not basing my idea off of this box. That's just, something that I wanted to mark out below this level. I'm more so interested in the low and the liquidity that's below it. And for one more bit of confluence, the value area low of this range is coming in inside that box. So that's scalp idea number one right there. And another idea would be coming down to take out some more of this liquidity. And the 786 is sitting right in the middle of this liquidity. Actually, if we hit that 786, the only low that we would be leaving would be this one. So potentially we leave one little bit of liquidity to the downside, get a little move to the upside off of the 786, and look to come back for that later. That's something I've seen happen a lot. You leave just one low down there, so you kind of have a reason to come back for that low. Even if you're not coming back for the actual low, you're just leaving a little bit of liquidity there. Potentially looking to trade this as an SFP of one of these lows too. I have my entry for this one right above that last low. So if we wick it and we get a bounce off the 786, then I may consider scalping that as well. And lastly is this idea that I've been talking about, simply an SFP of the actual low. This is the idea that I would prefer, but it would also be nice if I can maybe get some scalps off of these levels before we make our way down there. So that's basically my plans to the downside at the moment. Alright, it's been a little bit since I started this video. It's been over 2 days, and I finally took one of these trades. This idea that I had of taking the liquidity from over here, but getting a bounce from the 786 actually worked out very well. We didn't get a perfect bounce from the 786, but it was pretty close, and I didn't end up taking this trade right away. I'll show you how I got into this trade, but pretty much once I saw that we grabbed liquidity from the low end of the range, I then looked somewhere in this area for my entry, so I'll use bar replay to go over how I got into this trade. Okay, never mind. Forgot I can't do that. So I guess we will take a look at it like this. So pretty much I was out on the river today. I was rafting. I wasn't at my computer. I didn't have my phone on me, so we got this moved down as I was out on the river, of course. You know, the one time during the weekend I didn't have my phone on me. And when I looked at my phone, we had gotten this drop, and we think we're sitting right about here the first time I pulled up my phone. Fortunately, we formed some market structure on this move to the downside. On the 3 minutes, we had this swing to the upside, and because of that, the first thing I was looking for was a break in market structure, and then I would look to enter on a retest. That was basically my updated plan, because I didn't get the SFP trade from down here. So we got that market structure break, and from here my plan was pretty vague, but I knew I wanted to start paying attention to trades once we retraced past the 0.5 fib, or at least 50%. A lot of people don't even consider retest trades unless we get a retrace down past the 0.5, because they consider anything above the 0.5 to be premium pricing and anything below it to be discount pricing. And it makes sense that you would want to at least wait for a 0.5 retracement, because if you're taking a trade like this where your invalidation is going down below the low, then it would at least be a 1-to-1 if you were targeting that last high. So I set an alert down at the 0.5. We got a move into the 0.5 and got a little bounce from there. And from there, my entry was going to be a internal market structure break. So following market structure from this swing high, I'm going to ignore all that because it doesn't really matter, but we had move down, move up, and as we approached the 0.5, we had a little bit of market structure right there. So my plan became, if we're going to reverse from here, if we're not going to continue getting a move down towards the golden pocket, then I would look to enter on a market structure break once we broke this last lower high, which we did right over here. And basically that was my entry. My invalidation went down below this low, which gave me a pretty good risk reward. Just targeting this last high, it was a little under a 2-to-1, like a 1.7-to-1. So that was my first TP. Since this was kind of a more scalpish entry, even though this was, a plan I had made prior, my entry for this was based off of a local market structure break. It was more of a, scalp entry, even though it relates to a larger idea. So I pretty much treated it as a scalp, and my first target, I took out 50% of this trade. That locked in a decent amount of profits, like a little less than 1%. And from there, I put my stop loss to my entry. I wanted to lock in a little bit of profits for the weekend because if you watched my last video, you'll know I didn't have a great week trading last week. And from then, we kept running a little bit. We got to move up to pretty much the highs of the range. My next TP, I took out some profits when we filled this inefficiency here. That was another TP I took out, like a quarter of my remaining position, and then I took out another quarter up around these highs. Once I saw this reaction back to the downside from the previous range lows. This area has been resistance for us in this range since we've been trading in here, so it was a logical place from an XTP. So yeah, that is my trade right now. I still have, 1/4 of my original trade open. I have a little less than 2% profits locked in on it, so not a bad trade. And now I am in a long trade from around the lows of this range. If we end up breaking up and, reclaiming this larger range, then hey, I'm in a position. If not, if we get another move back down to stop me out, I can look for another long entry. And that is pretty much where we are at now with my trades. So I do have another plan marked out here for if we continue getting a retracement here. Basically, this plan revolves around this market structure maintaining itself. So if that were the case, then we would get a retracement and put in a higher low before we break this market structure point. So I have marked out an area of interest. If you go to the 15-minute time frame, there is kind of an order block in this area. I don't have all my time frames because, as you just saw, I don't have my TradingView Premium subscription right now. I have to renew that. So looking at the 15-minute, there is an order block here. I pretty much included this whole little mini range, though, as my order block, so I brought it down to this low. Or no, I guess I brought it down to this wick. But I'm pretty much considering this mini range as an area of demand, and the point of control of the uptrend aligns in this area. It's a little bit below the golden pocket of this swing. This is an area that I would potentially look to take another long trade if we get a retracement there. I don't think I want to move my entry for this trade up anymore. I like how it's kind of at the lows of the range. I'd rather just try and leave this trade open if I can. But I would definitely be interested in taking another long trade if I see something similar in this area, like a local market structure shift after we get a move into this area. So that's what I'll be watching for next. And I will also be looking for short trades if we get a move a little higher to take out some of this liquidity that we built up over here. I had forgotten that I had this 15-minute order block marked out a long time ago when I made, or when I started this video. So there is an order block in this area right above some of the liquidity here, which could make for a decent scalp or short idea. So that's pretty much what I'll be looking for next to the upside. So that's where we're at right now. I'll make another update if price does something and I end up taking another trade. If not, then I'll make an update tomorrow morning and probably just wrap this video up. Alright, so it is Monday now. This is going to be the final update of this video. I wanted to, hopefully wait and see if I can take one more trade here, because I only took one trade during this whole weekend. But that's pretty true to what trading is sometimes. You can, sometimes only get one good trade setup over the course of a few days. That was kind of the case with me. I am waiting on another potential trade setup right now, but since my last video, all that has happened is we have come down to stop out this trade. We just wicked it out right there, but we have still maintained this uptrend. And as long as we don't lose this low with a close, then I will be watching for a internal market structure break to look to re-enter along. This could just be a very drawn out higher low here. So right now I got one trade set up, on screen, and that's pretty much just waiting for this last lower high to break. And I kept adjusting this as structure was forming here. I was looking at like the lower time frame structure here, so I was looking at this wick as the last lower high, but I would probably go with the more like higher time frame structure, I guess. This is probably 5-minute structure here. So I would probably wait for this lower high to break with a close, and then I'll look to re-enter this trade. In total, I locked in about 1.6% with this trade. I took out 3/4 of it by the time we got up to this point. Not all at this high, but taking TPs on the way up. And that was the right call because I ended up getting stopped out of this one. So, not a bad trade. I'm still down for the week. I think, if I remember, I was down like 4 or 5% on the week. I took a lot of 1% losses. So, didn't make it all back, but I, rather than trying to make it all back with a bunch of low confidence trades. I'm taking the approach where I'll wait for the good trade setups, and make it back slowly but surely instead of just trying to gamble my way back. So that's where we're at right now. Other than that, my trading plans are still pretty much the same. Still watching this low, and I'm still watching this area up here where we have all this liquidity. And another trade setup could possibly be an SFP of this low now, maybe wicking that, taking out the rest of the liquidity from over here, and then reclaiming that. That could be another trade setup as well. So I'll be watching for those. I'll make more videos, follow my trades throughout the week, but that does it for this one. So thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. I really appreciate the support, and I'll see you all in the next video.